Level 1. The Frozen Threshold. The mountain air at 2,000 meters feels like inhaling crushed glass, scraping your throat raw as you haul 40 kilograms of gear across the granite ridges of the Bavarian Alps. You are a Jaegers Jaeger, a mountain trooper, but today you are merely a number in the pre-selection phase for Kommando Spezialkräfte. The scent of damp wool and gun oil clings to your uniform, mingling with the metallic tang of old sweat and the sharp, antiseptic smell of pine needles crushed under your combat boots. Your world is defined by the rhythm of the G36 rifle bouncing against your chest and the rhythmic crunch of snow crust breaking underfoot. Every joint screams in protest, a dull ache radiating from your lower back to your knees, while the temperature holds steady at -10 degrees Celsius. You stare at the heels of the man in front of you, focusing on the frayed stitching of his rucksack to ignore the gray mist swallowing the peak. A sergeant with eyes like flint barks an order, his voice cutting through the whistling wind, and you realize that out of 80 men, only 12 are still walking. The hook is the silence. If you stop moving, the silence of the mountain will claim you, and you will remain a regular soldier forever forgotten in the frost. Level 2. The Black Phase Selection. Pain is no longer an abstract concept. It is a permanent resident in your nervous system during the Hell Week of the Einungsfeststellungsverfahren. You are standing in the Black Forest, drenched to the bone in a relentless downpour that smells of rotting leaves and ozone. It is 3 o'clock in the morning, and you have not slept for 54 hours. Your task is a 19-kilometer orienteering run through dense undergrowth with a 50-kilogram load, navigated only by a paper map and a dim red flashlight. The mud is a thick, chocolate-colored sludge that threatens to suction the boots right off your feet with every agonizing step. You hear the distant rhythmic thud of a helicopter and the frantic beating of your own heart, which sounds like a muffled drum in your ears. The bitterness of high-calorie caffeine gum coats your tongue, a desperate chemical attempt to keep your eyes from fluttering shut. You are hallucinating silhouettes between the ancient oaks, ghosts of those who quit before dawn. One wrong coordinate and you are out. The margin for error is 0%, and the pressure feels like a physical weight on your skull, heavier than a pack on your shoulders. Level 3. The Crucible of Coal. You have earned the right to wear the Bordeaux color beret, but the real transformation begins at the Graf Zeppelin Kaserne. This is the special operations training, where you learn that violence is a meticulous science. The air in the killing house is thick with the sulfurous stench of cordite and the fine white dust of pulverized drywall. Your ears ring despite the electronic protection, vibrating with a thunderous bang pop of flashbangs and the rapid-fire mechanical cycling of the MP7. You practice room clearing until your movements are fluid and predatory, a dance of synchronized lethal force. You memorize the layout of a Boeing 747 down to the last seat row and the exact pressure needed to squeeze a trigger without disturbing the side alignment. The metallic taste of adrenaline is your breakfast, and the sound of Velcro tearing becomes the soundtrack of your life as you swap out magazines and grenades. You are no longer a person. You are a component of a 4-man commando truck, a precision instrument designed to neutralize threats in less than 2 seconds. Level 4. Jungle Warfare Conversion. The transition to the jungle is a sensory assault that resets your ego to 0. In the humid green hell of Belize, the air is 98% moisture, turning your skin into a breeding ground for fungus and salt sores. The smell is overwhelming, a cloying mix of decaying vegetation, stagnant swamp water, and the pungent chemical bite of DEET repellent. You learn to live in a hammock, suspended above a floor of crawling insects and venomous snakes that hiss in the shadows. The silence here is never true silence. It is a cacophony of screeching macaws and the low hum of a trillion mosquitoes seeking a gap in your mesh. Your camouflage face paint runs in greasy streaks down your neck, tasting of bitter clay and sweat. Every movement must be slow and deliberate to avoid snagging on wait-a-minute vines that tear at your flesh. You track targets through an emerald blur where visibility is limited to 5 meters, learning to distinguish the snap of a dry twig from the natural rustle of the wind. Survival is a game of patience, where the heat reaches 38 degrees Celsius and the shadows hide predators more patient than you. Level 5. The Halo Descent. Gravity becomes your primary adversary as you specialize in high-altitude, low-opening jumps. Standing at the edge of a Transall C-160 ramp at 30,000 feet, the air is thin and freezing, necessitating an oxygen mask that smells of dry rubber and medical-grade gas. The world below is a dark, abstract map of flickering city lights and jagged coastlines. When you jump, the roar of the wind is a deafening scream that drowns out all thought, a chaotic vibration that threatens to tear the goggles from your face. You are falling at 200 kilometers per hour through a void of minus 40 degrees Celsius, your body a rigid aerodynamic shape. The transition from the violent rush of freefall to the sudden jarring snap of the parachute canopy is a physical shock that rattles your teeth. Gliding through the moonlight, the silence is absolute and eerie, broken only by the faint hiss of air through the cordage. You land like a shadow in a farmer's field kilometers behind enemy lines, the smell of damp earth and manure a grounding contrast to the thin, icy ether of the stratosphere. Level 6, Direct Action Specialist. You are now a senior operator, tasked with the surgical removal of high-value targets in urban environments. The mission is a night raid on a fortified compound. The scent of diesel fumes from the hovering helicopters lingers in your lungs as you fast rope onto a crumbling rooftop. The world is seen through the monochromatic green glow of night vision goggles, a grainy landscape of shadows and infrared lasers. You move with a heavy, rhythmic gait, the weight of your ceramic plates and ballistic helmet feeling like a second skin. The sound of a breaching charge is a sharp, percussive thump that you feel in your chest cavity more than you hear in your ears. Dust chokes the hallway, smelling of old plaster and burnt wiring. You transition from your primary rifle to your sidearm with a mechanical efficiency perfected over a decade. Every door kicked in is a calculated risk. Every corner turned is a potential ending. The adrenaline is no longer a rush but a cold, steady stream that sharpens your focus to a razor's edge, allowing you to count the heartbeats of the man hiding behind the curtain. Level 7, the Shadow Diplomat. Evolution takes you out of the uniform and into the world of non-conventional warfare and military assistance. You are in a nameless desert city, wearing local garb that smells of wood smoke and strong tobacco, your Glock concealed beneath a loose tunic. Your role is to train local militias, a task that requires the patience of a saint and the suspicion of a spy. The air is thick with the scent of roasting meat, dust, and open sewers, a sensory cocktail that defines the fringes of failed states. You listen to the drone of a ceiling fan in a safe house, drinking bitter tea while negotiating with a warlord whose loyalties shift with the wind. The sound of distant mortar fire is a constant background hum, as common as the call to prayer. You are a ghost, a quiet professional whose presence is never officially acknowledged by Berlin. Your tools are no longer just bullets, but bags of cash, encrypted satellite phones, and the ability to read a man's intentions in the way he handles his AK-47. The gray zone is your home, where the temperature hits 45 degrees Celsius, and the truth is the first casualty. Level 8, the Architect of Shadows. At the apex of your career, you sit in a windowless room and call, the air-conditioned chill smelling of ozone and expensive electronics. You are the mission commander, the one who synthesizes intelligence into action. Before you, a wall of monitors displays live drone feeds from 3 different continents, silent black and white images of people who have no idea they are being watched. The only sound is the soft clicking of keyboards and the low murmur of analysts. You no longer pull the trigger, you authorize the strike. You feel the immense weight of the lives on the screen, both your operators and the targets. The responsibility is a cold, dry pressure in your chest. You remember the smell of the pine needles in the Alps and the mud in the Black Forest, but those versions of you are dead. You are the institutional memory of the KSK, a shadow architect designing the invisible shield of a nation. As you sip a cup of black, bitter coffee, you realize the evolution is complete. You have transitioned from a man of action to a force of nature, operating in a world where the only constant is the mission.